And right now, I think Buddy Lazier realizes that with time running out, there really isn't enough time to be able to go out and shake this thing down, because time will run out before he uses his 3 attempts. And as I predicted about an hour and a half ago, now that we're down to almost just about 32 minutes to go, look at the rush to Tech. Everybody that is in and about to be bumped and maybe bumped are starting to congregate down here. So you're going to get one shot, guys, and that's going to be it, I'm afraid.
Well, Mario Dominguez is right behind him on the Tech pad, so we've got 2 in a row coming up. And there's Roger Yasukawa just getting ready to defend his position if he needs it. There's Max Pappas, and they've got all kinds of issues. Let's get an update from Vince Welch.
Well, the good news is that Max Pappas's team has gone through the gearbox and found the issue, so they believe that Pappas is going to get back out. He's just communicating with his team now, asking about whether or not he's going to have time for a simulated run, and they're explaining to him that there are other drivers in line for qualifications. So Max Pappas, at least at this point, it looks like he's going to get a chance to get his way into the field, and that pleases him from that perspective, because just a few moments ago this team thought they were done.
Well, these, I gotta tell you, folks, I'm being very honest here. These are when moments even I feel nervous when we're here in the booth, because there are question marks with a lot of these race cars, and these are human beings strapping themselves into missiles that are going to go over 226 miles an hour, if they can get that fast, into the corner. And remember what's at stake here: an opportunity to run the 92nd Indianapolis 500. $270,000 in your hip pocket if you're just in last place.
Marty, there are 3 pedals in that car. One of them is the throttle, the other one is the brake, and then there's the clutch. So there really are only 2 pedals. It's every driver's decision how much he's going to commit to qualifying. So you're right, it is difficult, and they want to qualify, and there's over $250,000 at play right here for somebody that's going to make it in. But they have all the tools inside the cockpit to make the decision. The decision is purely the drivers for the next 30 minutes, which I think are the meanest 30 minutes in motor racing in the United States every year.
And we are approaching that mark in about 10 seconds. You saw Brian Barnhart. He put his head in very quickly on the instructions, Jack.
Because he's a veteran and because he's an Indy 500 winner, Brian Barnhart put it very succinctly. You know the process, buddy. 218.010 is what you're shooting for. Go for it and give me 4 good ones.
So now Barnhart checks with the tower to make sure the track is clear. And he's going to send him out. And of course, as he pulls out, who can forget about a dozen years ago when this young man was suffering from a fracture in his back and still somehow managed to win the 1996 Indianapolis 500. I remember, Scott, that every time he climbed in and out of the cockpit, it looked like so much agony just trying to get in and out of the car.
And that was a result of a huge crash at Phoenix International Raceway, going into turn 1 and ending up against the turn 2 wall, which fractured his back. And he really came back a little bit earlier than what doctors wanted to, but he wanted to race the Indianapolis 500 and resulted in the win.
And what you have to add, yet he went out there, he ran the 500 and didn't just ran it, he won it and didn't put a foot wrong the whole month.
All right, he's on his 2nd lap. Let's see how he does here through turn 1. 100% throttle still there, but the speed is not. 216, 217 through the corners won't get it done. See what happens as he goes down the back straightaway here.
Now look at the RPMs, 9,900 RPMs. He has to be up at 10.2, 10.3 if he's going to have an opportunity to get everything out of that Honda power plant. So he's got to carry some more speed through the turns, which will endure him down the straightaway, carrying more speed and more RPMs.
I don't think he'll get to 10.2.
Well, and remember what Brian Barnhart said last week as the green flag comes out. If he sees that a run has no chance of making it, he has the authority to wave it off himself, let alone if the team wants to abort early. So here goes Buddy Lazier, lap tracker right now, compared to Roger Yasukawa, slightly in the green. And that's Roger Yasukawa 2 cars behind. Now remember, as he's heading into the wind here, it's going to start dipping.
And we've seen this before from other runs. Now what he's going to have to do is make up for that as he's going down the front stretch and then through the south end of the racetrack. And Buddy will know his times because he has a digital dash inside that car with telemetry, and he will go across the bricks and then get the speed of what he achieved each and every lap.
First lap, 2:17.272. That is not good enough.
It's not looking very positive here. It was the only time we could see the revs was the warm-up lap he did to start with, and I think he was about 100 to 200 revs too long. And what that means that the engine is not in its peak power range, and that will cost you. That'll cost you straight line speed, especially when you have the wind is changing like this.
And usually what you do in qualifying is run 4th, 5th, and 6th gear very close to each other, so you can have the selection of what gear you want to run in to maximize the speed out of the engine. Now, if he's in 4th gear, for instance, and it's the closest gear that he can run, still not get RPMs, that's not a good sign for it. If he was in 6th, certainly could come down to 11th, and his second lap here at 2:17.204 would be disappointing, obviously, and he knows what's going to happen. Brian will probably give him till lap 3. As you see Ron Hemmelgarn on the right-hand side of your screen, his team owner when Buddy won this race before. And Buddy comes from a long line of racing family. His dad raced here, his brother Jacques has raced here, and really a ski family. And Buddy was a national champion in skiing, but you know, this is a situation.
But to make up for those first 2 laps in 2:17, he'd have to do a 2:18 plus right now.
Right.
And that's not in the cards. It's trailing down. It's getting slower and slower every lap.
Yeah.
So if it is an issue with the gear ratios, they might just barely have enough time to get in there and make a change.
Jagaroot.
You guys alluded to the fact that Brian Barnhart retained the right to be able to wave off. That's exactly what he did, because Ron Hemmelgarn at first did not want to, but Buddy Lazier had some input as well. So they're going to try again. But right now it's time for Mario Dominguez's turn for attempt number 2.
All right, so Buddy Lazier has earned 1 attempt today. They'll see if they can figure out where to find that extra RPM that we had seen on the warm-up lap.